Mr. Luda? I'm reading this, is that correct? About Malcolm?
Yep.
Okay, I want to be sure.
And I got the
I
letter.
didn't want to start something I wasn't supposed to start over here.
You good?
Okay. Here we go, Eagle Scout, thing on the agenda. What's his last name? What's his? Shepherd.
And keep you.
Time to go to work.
6 o'clock.
Make the donuts, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock. Time to begin our August 15th meeting. At this time, we'll call ourselves to order. Item 1 is recognition of Eagle Scout Malcolm Shepherd. At this time, we'd like to recognize him, and I'd like to read his statement. Malcolm is a scout who has earned, Malcolm has been a member of Troop 276 out of Indian Trail since he was 9 years old. Malcolm earned his Eagle Scout on Monday, June the 12th, 2017. His Eagle Scout project was entitled, A Scout Lends a Helping Hand. Malcolm worked with the Union County Community Shelter in Monroe on this project, which involved repainting the dining area, hallway at the shelter where the meals are served. In addition to the repainting, Malcolm also set a goal to collect 500 deodorants, 500 hand towels, 500 soaps. He exceeded his goal and presented the shelter with 703 deodorants, 700 hand towels, and 702 soaps. Malcolm, that's quite a compliment. I'll turn it over to you at this time.
Okay. This is the personal statement that Malcolm had to write, which was part of the process to earn his Eagle Scout. I am a senior at Sun Valley High School, and I am 17 years old. As a student at Sun Valley, I have enrolled in many different classes that will prepare me for graduation in college. One of my favorite courses is Navy JROTC. Next school year will be my 4th year in this program. I like the idea of being physically fit and being part of a program that instills the importance of great character and leadership. Another activity that I really enjoy is being on the Sun Valley swim team, 3 years. I may not be the fastest swimmer on the team, but I swim with heart and I never give up. Outside of school, I am involved in Taekwondo. I earned my black belt, first degree in October 2016. All 3 programs, along with Boy Scouts of America, have taught me lifelong skills such as discipline, responsibility, leadership, and discipline. After I graduate from high school, I plan to attend a 4-year university and major in graphic design. After I complete that program, I want to learn to do animation and/or game design. My purpose is to live to the fullest, improve the world through service, and help other people feel good about themselves. It takes all of us to do our part to make a difference in our own community. I've known Malcolm since he was a little boy, and I just want to tell you that is a huge, huge accomplishment. Many scouts never reach that pinnacle, but along the way you develop those great character skills. You mentioned some of them, but you also develop diligence and patience as well. And those character traits will take you very far in life. Congratulations. We wish you the best. You've also become a role model for young men. You make Monroe proud. Congratulations.
Congratulations. With that black belt, remind me not to fight you.
That's right, that's right.
Congratulations, Malcolm. Great job.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Malcolm. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 2, I'd like to recognize our Fire Chief, Ron Fowler, was recently installed as president of the Southeastern Association of Fire Chiefs and will be serving a 1-year term. The Southeastern Association of Fire Chiefs is a division of the International Association of Fire Chiefs and consists of memberships from 10 states. Chief Fowler served as a North Carolina representative on the 15-member board of directors prior to being elected as second vice president in 2015. He then ascended to the first vice president. Chief Fowler also previously served as president of the North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs. Chief Fowler, I think this is a great compliment. It makes, again, always like to say it makes Monroe look good, but it also shows what you are doing in our city and across the state. And so at this time, I want to recognize you and say congratulations to that. And I believe you have a little something to bring. We'll recognize you at this time.
I do. Thank you, Mayor and Councilman. Mayor, I certainly appreciate that recognition and appreciate the council allowing me to do that. And just humbled to serve in that position and appreciate your support and just thank God for what he's done for me. And I've been very blessed over my career, and it's an honor to serve in that position. So thank you for that. The main thing I'd like to do tonight is recognize the men and women of the fire department. We have recently been reaccredited by the Commission on Fire Accreditation International. As you may recall, we were initially accredited in 2012, and the accreditation is good for 5 years. So we've been working really since 2012 and preparing for this time. Through the Commission on Fire Accreditation, there's a multitude of criteria that a fire department has to meet, pretty stringent criteria, and we have met those and able to be accredited. And basically, what it is, it's essentially like a third-party verification that we are doing what we say we're doing, and that we are serving our citizens as we should and meeting the needs of our citizens. So I certainly appreciate, again, the support of the council because you have been very supportive of us in being able to meet this accreditation goal, both in 2012 and then again now. So thank you for your support. More than anything, I want to thank the men and women of our department, many of them, or a few of them who are with us here this evening. They're very dedicated, very professional, and they certainly serve our department well, represent the city well, and most importantly, serve our citizens well. So certainly appreciate what they do. We were evaluated by a peer assessment team in May of this year, and there was a series of documents that we had to provide before that, and in May of this year, a peer assessment team of 4 assessors from around the country came in and evaluated us. They did recommend us to be reaccredited. We went before the commission in Charlotte on July the 26th, and actually Mayor Kilgore and the city manager were there with us to represent the department, along with some of the chief officers and myself, and the commission did reaccredit us. So I do have the plaque here that, if you like, I'd like to read this. It says, Accredited Agency Award, Monroe Fire Department, Monroe, North Carolina. It says the Commission on Fire Accreditation International is dedicated to assisting the fire and emergency service agencies throughout the world in achieving excellence through self-assessment and accreditation in order to provide continuous quality improvement and the enhancement of service delivery to their communities. Monroe Fire Department, having met in full the requirements of the Commission on Fire Accreditation International, as witnessed by a team of their peers and members of the Commission, is hereby awarded the status of accredited agency. The witness thereof, this accredited agency award is issued this 26th day of July in the year of 2017. So again, thank you for your support. Thank you to the men and women of the department for what they do every day. This certainly wouldn't be possible without their hard work every day. If you like, I'd like to ask them if they'd maybe step over. Mayor, if you'd like to come around and maybe get a picture of them. And
I would like to ask
us
you a
together.
question. Right across the state, if you know, about how many fire departments are accredited?
There are, in North Carolina, there's approximately 20, and that's out of some probably, 1,300 departments across the state now. There's about 200, I believe the last count I saw was 239 nationwide that are accredited. So it's pretty significant for the city, and we're just honored to be able to do this.
Does this help on any of the insurance programs? And this is not, I've not asked you before, I don't know.
It will help. We were last graded in 2006 by ISO, and so we're actually due for another survey. I suspect within the next year. Now there's no direct tie as far as points for being accredited. However, historically accredited fire departments do very well in the ISO rating because there are many things that you do for the accreditation that will help in the ISO rating. We're currently a Class 3. I'm a little hesitant to say this. I guess every fire chief's goal is to be a Class 1. That's the best. And I think that's something that we certainly can strive for. And with the support of the council and the dedication of our members, and that's our goal. And we'll see how that works out here over the next year or two whenever we are surveyed again.
Well, I appreciate that, Ron, and certainly you've accomplished a lot getting us accredited for the city. And I don't want to take anything away from the fire department, but I'm proud to say not only the fire department, but the police department's accredited, also is accredited under Councilman Duncan, if I'm correct. So both our departments are accredited. I'm very proud of them, and I know the council is, and it certainly says something about the chiefs and the city. So thank you so much for that. But I'd be honored to come down.
Come on around, fellas. Somebody take a picture. You take a picture. Somebody take a picture. Maybe we won't take a picture.
I'll take one.
Okay, let's go in front. Mayor, come on over, center up here, sir. Perfect. Let me have one of those Kleenexes, please. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Item 4 and 5, I asked Chief Gillard if he'll last recognition of Captain Beth Green and Master Police Officer Monique Hope.
Mayor, members of council, thank you for having me tonight. Monique, if you could come up, please. Since 2002, the North Carolina Justice Academy has a school resource officer certificate program, and Monique's gone through this. It consists of 178 hours of training. And during this time, she's taken all kinds of different classes to make our schools safer. There's only 178 officers in North Carolina who've been able to complete this program. It's in 15 years of its existence. We're very fortunate to have one with us tonight. And I just wanted to recognize Monique because she works really hard at Monroe Middle School, and she's going to work really hard in the elementary schools this year. I want to tell her thank you for what she does for us on a daily basis and present her this certificate from the North Carolina Justice Academy. Also, I have a press release I'll give to Pete, but from the Justice Academy, recognizing her for her service. And I thank you very much.
Great job. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Monique. Thank you.
If I get Captain Green and Sergeant Smith to come up, I'd just like to recognize them and make you aware of some very special honors that they've received. Captain Green was sworn in July to be the president of the North Carolina Police Executive Association. This event took place back in July in Wilmington. So next year she will represent the city of Monroe and represent you and our citizens as a president. She'll have a lot of travel commitments, but she'll be representing us over through the all different types of training meetings and stuff she's going to have to go to. It's a very prestigious honor. I'm very proud of her, and I wanted y'all to be aware of what she has done. Sergeant Mike Smith was just sworn in, and he's going to be the president of North Carolina Training Officers Association for the next year. They'll have their training meetings, but they're also very, very, very integral part in the statewide association of the training and the requirements that we have for law enforcement officers. So 2 members of my staff have been selected to serve in statewide presidencies, and I'm very proud of them. I just wanted to make you aware of what they were doing for us on a daily basis.
On the regular agenda, I'm going to skip over to the regular agenda on items 16 and 17. That has been asked to be tabled to the September the 5th meeting. I believe that Mr. Gibson had signed up to speak. Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
this is going to be tabled to September the 5th.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to come back then, we give you the opportunity to speak.
Yes,
I believe
sir.
you checked in favor. I hate to put you through coming back or whatever, but I just wanted to be sure that you knew and that it was going to be continued.
Yes, sir. We would appreciate that.
Yes, sir. So September the 5th, we will hear it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else who's here for that hearing?
Mayor, before we get to the consent agenda, I'd like to pull off
Mayor
item
Pro Tem, if
4B.
I may just note, you do need, Mayor, a motion voted on by the council to continue to table that as well.
Do I have a motion? Have a motion? Do I have a second? All in favor? That will be tabled to the 5th meeting in September.
Okay, also, did you get that? I want to pull off 12B from the consent
Yeah,
agenda.
on the consent agenda.
Yes.
On the consent agenda on 12B, exchange and purchase of golf carts. Larry, you want to do that now, or you want to wait till we get to it? Just go ahead and do that and get it out of the way.
I'll defer to Tanya Edwards to introduce that item.
This item is a request of council tonight for the adoption of a resolution that would allow us to exchange our current fleet of golf carts, which are Easy Goes, for a fleet of Yamaha golf carts. It would be for the exchange and then $154,254 in cash to make this purchase. I'll be glad to entertain any questions. How we went about selecting the carts.
How many carts are you getting?
We're getting 72.
72. How often do you replace these carts?
About every 6 years. And the life expectancy of a golf cart is between 4 and 5 years, so we have now exceeded that life expectancy for these carts.
Any particular reason we changing to Yamaha?
Well, what we
I'm
did,
curious.
yeah, we had a committee that we put together that consisted of our golf pro and our golf course superintendent, myself, and the city mechanic. And basically, we evaluated the 3 major golf cart companies, being Club Cart, Easy Go, and Yamaha. And after reviewing them, checking references, looking at the carts on site, having the mechanic go through all 3 of those carts, the value of the cart, of course, the Yamaha was the least expensive cart, and it provided, we felt like, the best quality cart for the cost.
Now, the trade-in value on these carts, we are able to get trade-ins for that. Can you speak to that and why we do that? Is that something that we do in industry? Why other cities do that? I wanted you to explain a little bit why we are doing this and what the cost is, because some concerns have been brought up about that. So if you can explain it, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, the trade-in value of the carts, actually this time on the trade-in, the carts now, for used golf carts, they're a lot more valuable and there's a bigger demand than there have been in the past. So we actually got about $750 more for the trade-in per cart this time. So actually the cost that we're paying this time for this fleet of carts is less than what we paid in 2011. But trading those carts in versus maybe putting them on gov.net or whatever, is that we get a consistent, each cart we get the same amount for. If we were to put it on that, there would be no guarantee that we could secure that amount of money. So industry standard is most of the time you trade your fleet in because you get a better value and to do that.
You said $750 per car?
Yeah, that's more. Now, the actual carts themselves, we're getting a trade-in value of $2,020 per cart. which is about $59 more than we got for the trade-in value per cart last time.
I know you said that you kept them a year longer than the expected life of them.
That is
But they're in
correct.
pretty bad repair now.
Yes, we spent about $8,000 last year repairing these carts, and at any given time now, we have probably 10 to 15 carts that are down for repairs. We also, the Yamaha provided a better warranty. There's a 4-year warranty, so we look at 4 years of this after the purchase of basically having very little expense on repairs.
What all does the warranty cover? What all does the
The
warranty?
4-year warranty covers everything except for, say, you get a windshield broken, those kind of things. And the warranty that Yamaha provides, what we found, is one of the best in the industry right now.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, back to the consent agenda.
Well, this is
Let
all,
me add on.
we need a motion.
Yeah, let's do it. All in favor? Give me a have a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Back to the consent agenda, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The City Council uses the consent agenda to consider items that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. Item 6 is for the purpose of calling for a public hearing for an annexation request by Walter Henderson Jr., True Cam Homes LLC, and Samuel C. Dillingham for 51.5 acres located south of West Unionville Indian Trail Road in between Poplar Road and Ridge Road to be held on September 5th, 2017, and also to direct the city clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the petition for annexation. Item 7 is for the purpose of approving the tax collector's settlement for all taxes collected for the preceding fiscal year, and the settlement shows that the city's collection rate was 98.76%. Item 8 is for the purpose of approving 3 budget amendments. The first and second amendments are for accepting donations from Councilmember Anderson's discretionary fund in the amount of $500 each for the Fire Department Explorer Post 181 and the Monroe Police Explorers. The third amendment is necessary for the fiscal year 2018 budget in order to reappropriate incompleted items for fiscal year from fiscal year 2017. These items involve projects that are partially complete, grants that have not been spent in their entirety, and unspent drug seizure money. They total $596,176 for the general fund and $156,377 for the downtown Monroe fund. The next item is 9, and its purpose is for calling a public hearing to be held on September 5th to consider zoning map amendment request to rezone property located south of West Unionville Indian Trail Road. It is also associated with the annexation as previously mentioned. Item 10 is for the purpose of adopting the order authorizing the tax collector to collect taxes, charge, and the tax records and the receipts for this fiscal year. Item 11 is for minutes and reports that are lettered 11A through H. Highlighting a few of those, item 11A is there are 2 sets of disbursements for the governing body this period. Councilmember Gary Anderson made 3 disbursements, which include donations to the Monroe Fire and Police Department Explorer Post, the amount of $500 each, and to Monroe Deliverance for the Love to the Community Jam Fest in the amount of $500. Councilmember Saluda Anthony made 4 disbursements, which include monies to the Community Health Services of Union County, Inc. in the amount of $1,000, Monroe High Athletic Foundation in the amount of $500, Rotary Club of Monroe in the amount of $200, and to the Village Development Center in the amount of $200. Item B is 11B is for financial reports for July. And as a summary, the unassigned general fund balance is $2,806,269, and the total fund balance is $29,969,415. 11C through G are for minutes, and there's 6 sets of minutes. Item 11H is for the summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager settlement of claims. There are 86 contracts for the period totaling $877,000 and change. There were no claims settled during this period. Item 12 is for the purpose of adopting a resolution involving the interlocal agreement with the town of Waxhaw for building inspections pertaining to two needs for temporary level 3 inspections for Ardmore Apartments in mini storage. Item 13 is for the purpose of honoring retiring Police Sergeant Mark Green by awarding him a service sidearm and adopting a resolution recognizing his service and retirement. Item 14 is for the purpose of approving the small government term enterprise license agreement with ESRI for 3 years in the amount of $105,000. And Mayor and members of City Council, this concludes my summary of items placed on the consent agenda.
Any questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Have a motion. Have a second. Have a motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. On the regular agenda, if you recall, items 16 and 17 has been moved to September. So we'll go to item 17.
15.
15.
Item 15.
Yeah, we better back up and get 15.
CDBG.
Yeah, item 15. Development block grant, I believe Brian handling that.
I'm here. Good evening, Mayor, Council. This public hearing is for the use of CDBG downtown revitalization funds to get your approval to use those funds. Those funds are from the North Carolina Department of Commerce, North Carolina Main Street. They are for 113 through 115 South Main, the Preston Building, to help with some renovations of that building. There will be a second public hearing in September to talk about that further, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. This is a project that's been ongoing. If you recall, about a year ago, we held these same proceedings then too. But project is moving forward.
Okay.
Mayor, before you ask for those speaking for or against, just for clarification, because the agenda notes action, are you asking for council to take action at this meeting or the September meeting when you have the second public hearing?
Oh, let's see. That'd be a good question. I think the approval of the funds in general would be needed tonight, and then the second public hearing is to give specific details of the project.
So we grant your approval.
Actually, you need to conduct a public hearing.
Yeah.
Councilmember Desai.
Okay. Any questions of Brian?
Clear enough there, Majid?
That's clear enough.
Okay, thank
What
you.
kind of renovations are we doing? Just give us a little.
It's, well, the
Overview.
Downtown Revitalization Fund, basically, we're getting $400,000 to bring that building up to code, basically, to make it available for a tenant to use it. So it's for the building.
This is $400,000 grant money.
Yes.
Okay, I want to be sure I got grant
CDBG
money.
Downtown
I
Revitalization.
don't want any misunderstanding of $400,000. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Brian. This is a public hearing. I have one signed up to speak in favor. Ms. Teresa Hinman.
For now.
I'm sorry?
I'll wait till September.
Okay. Anyone else here who would like to speak? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action. I have a motion.
Lynn? Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 15. Okay. That takes us down to item 18, Highway 74, 601 interchange improvement. Is that you handling that, Mr. Lloyd?
Good evening, Jim Lord, Engineering Director. With the release of the draft 2018-2027 State Transportation Improvement Program on June 28th, Project UDAS 5723, which provides for interchange improvements at US US 74 and US 601 has accelerated from the previously released step in 2016 to 2025. Right-of-way has moved ahead by 2 years to 2018 and construction by 3 years to 2019. Total cost of the improvements has also increased from $2.2 million to $8 million due to the inclusion of the bridge replacement over US 74. Tonight I would like to introduce Sean Epperson with the Department of Transportation, who is present to discuss the U-5723 project. Sean has recently been promoted from Division Traffic Engineer to Project Design Team Lead. In this position, he is responsible for Division 10 TIP projects once they go to design. Also, Lee Ainsworth, District Engineer, is present too.
Mayor, Council, thank y'all for having me tonight. I understand y'all had some concerns about this project, so I'm here to talk about it, give you kind of a brief overview, and then for the most part, answer any questions you have, and hopefully alleviate y'all's concerns so we can move forward with this project. As Jim said, it's for US 74 and US 601 interchange project, or interchange improvements. Okay, so the idea behind the project is to improve the safety and capacity of the interchange ramps themselves up on 601 and 207. And then also will eliminate the weave conditions occurring down on 74 by reducing the number of ramps that go from 601 and 207 to 74 and increasing the acceleration distances there. Because out there today, when you come off those ramps and get down to 74, you've got a very short distance to get up to the speed limit or significantly higher since most people are speeding through there and merge into traffic. So by reducing the number of ramps and increasing those distances, we can increase the space people have to get up to speed and merge safely. So this is a concept plan for the project. Is there a laser pointer? Nope. Okay. I'll try and use the mouse. I can't see it. Okay, so if you look at the plan, currently there's 2 ramps coming from. Oh, that didn't do what I wanted to do. Do I get it back? Yeah, I want to try and get just that up there so I can show the mouse. Is there a way to do that? Here we go. So at this location, we're eliminating this ramp. You'll have this ramp here that comes in, and by replacing the bridge, we'll get more into details in a minute, you'll be able to extend that acceleration lane underneath the bridge, connect into here before it merges into traffic. So you're basically effectively doubling the acceleration distance there. And on the other side, same thing. We're eliminating this on-ramp and this loop off-ramp. So the traffic will come on, we'll go under the bridge, continue on, and then connect to this acceleration lane here. So again, effectively doubling that acceleration distance and only having one weave on each side of 74. And then the roundabouts themselves at each intersection will increase the capacity of those intersections so they can handle the future volumes and increase the safety of the intersections that are out there today. Because right now they're unsignalized, and especially on the north side, where you've got multiple roadways coming into that one intersection, it's confusing. I mean, I'm a traffic engineer. I drive this area, and I don't like going through that intersection. So the roundabouts, like I said, will improve that safety and improve the capacity of those intersections.
Sean, if you don't mind me stopping you at this point.
No, go ahead.
West is the top, east is the bottom, is that correct? And could you go over those? I'm obviously very familiar with it as well, but what you're proposing to shut down there, and then where would you get on and off after the roundabouts?
Okay, so if you're coming from downtown, right now if you're wanting to get on 74
Yes.
east, you can go.
So that will remain?
No, this one will be removed. So right now, if you're coming from downtown, you would take this ramp to go to 74 east. Like I said, very short acceleration distance. That one will be removed. Instead, you'd come up to the roundabout, circle around, and then come up.
Go west virtually.
Correct.
Now it's only an off-ramp. Well, it's not only an off-ramp, but.
Correct, yeah. If you're coming down 601 south, you can go this direction. But both 601 south and 207 north would come up, loop around, We would extend, right now that lane ends right about in this area, we would extend it underneath the bridge and then connect into here where it ends down in this area.
How many feet is it extended?
I don't have it on hand. It's effectively doubling it, though. I can get that distance. I didn't think about looking it up ahead of time, but it's effectively doubling the acceleration distance that you have out there.
So on the south side, you're eliminating one off-ramp.
Correct. One on-ramp onto 74, yes.
Right, yeah, and on the,
On the north side, we're eliminating one off-ramp from 74 and one on-ramp onto 74.
okay.
So the same thing, both if you're heading north on 207, same thing as you do today. You come around here. The difference is you won't have to merge underneath the bridge. You can continue on straight and merge up to this area. And then 601 south, instead of making a right, coming in here, you go around the roundabout, circle around, and come up this way. Again, effectively doubling the acceleration distance and reducing the number of weaves onto 74, number of ramps on 74 in half.
I understand the part about getting back on 74.
Okay.
What about the part about people clearly knowing how to get off of 74 and onto the Skyway so that they can access the businesses in that area?
Okay, so if you're heading eastbound on 74, it's the same as it was before. There's just one ramp, comes up to the roundabout. Instead of turning left or right, you'll go right. But if you want to go left, you'll circle around the roundabout and head back this way.
And head on into downtown.
Well, this is out of town. Yeah, if you're heading into downtown, if you're coming on 74 East, same as you today, you'll just make a right and head.
No change there.
No change.
No change there, correct.
Okay.
Really, there's no change in this one, period, except the difference is instead of turning left, you'll make a right, circle around the roundabout, and come out.
And the fact it is roundabout and not just a intersection.
Correct, yeah. So if you're heading westbound, right now, if you're heading on 601 north, nothing's changed. You'll take this ramp, come up, and then turn right. Difference here is if you're wanting to head into downtown, instead of taking this loop ramp, which won't exist, you'll come up, circle around the roundabout, and then come into downtown. So you'll still be able to get everywhere. It's just a slightly different way of doing it, especially in the westbound direction.
Any other questions?
Well, no, I don't have.
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, and so I hinted on, part of the reason why we got to replace that bridge is the, 207 north and 601 south to 74 east. To extend that acceleration lane, we need to widen or lengthen that bridge so we can get underneath it. But there are other reasons. You got a low bridge clearance along 74. It's been hit 5 times in the past 13 years. We eliminate grade, well, I'm going to not necessarily do this nor we eliminate grade construction issues with building those roundabouts. So when they build the new bridge, they got to raise the whole bridge up 5 foot. So when we build if we were to build the roundabouts without replacing the bridge, we have 2 options. We either build to match existing grade, or we build the roundabouts 5 foot higher and somehow try and get back down to the bridge. You build them 5 foot higher, you're too high, and you got some issues there. But at least when you replace the bridge, you ain't got to rebuild the roundabouts. You rebuild the roundabouts too low. When we eventually replace the bridge, you've now got to rebuild the roundabouts. And obviously there's a cost savings, because you don't have to rebuild anything if we go ahead and do everything at one time. And then we lessen future impacts. If we do everything at once, there's going to be pain, but at least you're doing it all now. Instead of doing the roundabouts today and then the bridge. It's not currently programmed to be replaced, but it's going to be at some point in time. So we don't know when it'll happen, but it's going to have to be replaced. Okay, so these are some of the planned detour routes. So if you're heading down 601 south, you would get onto Concord Avenue, to Ivy Shive, back to 207. If your goal was to get on 74, you would just get off from the Concord Avenue 74 interchange. If you're heading on 207 northbound, again, you go to Ivy Shive, Concord Avenue to 601. But again, if you want to get on 74, you cross over, you can get onto it there. 74 to 601 southbound, Concord Avenue. I meant to change that to 207 southbound. Anyway. Sorry, Concord Avenue to Ivy Shive to 207, and then if you're wanting to go northbound, Concord Avenue to 601.
Looks like your
couple of typos in there.
Your route, Concord Avenue to Petro Street, because that puts Skyway Drive
business is much better situation than if you go to I.B. Shive, you're already past them.
Correct, and that's one of the things that we were asked to look at. So we were looking at that alternate route of pushing traffic down Pedro Street.
I would say that's very important.
Some of the issues we have with that is turning movements on and off of Pedro. So if we do that, we would be looking at probably having 2 detour routes, pushing the cars down Pedro, and then the trucks down this existing detour. Because of the 80
cars down Pedro and trucks down I.B. Shive.
Correct. Yeah. One of the things we tasked the firm doing all this work for us was to analyze these detours, analyze the various intersections. There's 14,000 ADT on 601. So we want to see how that much traffic is going to impact all these various intersections and what improvements may be needed. You know, maybe we need some temporary turn lanes, traffic signals. We don't know. So we've asked them to also look at this location to see if it might need, because right now there's no turn lanes out there. It's not a traffic signal or anything. So we're going to ask them to look at that too to see, do we need a temporary signal, turn lanes, and what may be needed? And is it feasible to get them built? Something I thought about, honestly, on the way up here, so I didn't get a chance to include it in this PowerPoint, was the bridge is going to be closed for 12 months. But each individual intersection where the ramps intersect 207 or 601 are only going to be shut down for 6 to 8 weeks while they actually build the roundabout. So, while this is the detour we were looking at, really, realistically, if that the US 74 eastbound and 207 intersection there is only going to be shut down for probably about 6, maybe 8 weeks. So there'll be a point in time once they have it built and before they actually close it down when the detour will actually just be Concord Avenue back to 74, back to 207. So really we're only looking at hopefully about a 6 to 8 week window where we have to consider Pedro Street or pushing all that traffic all the way to Ivy Shive. So it's actually, like I said, if I'd thought about that beforehand, I would have included that in here. So there's really only about a 6 to 8 week window where that major concern of the traffic getting to those businesses is actually going to be in place. They still have to take a detour, but at least the detour will actually put them right back on 207.
Now, when are you're saying your roundabouts will be done first and then the bridge later?
It's all going to be done in that 12 months. We haven't gotten far enough along to have a true construction phasing yet. So I don't know, if they, when they shut the bridge down, are they going to do the roundabouts right away, towards the middle, towards the end? That we're not sure about yet. To some extent, we could, direct them to do it at certain times, but it's going to kind of depend on what their phasing is and when they got to get stuff to the bridge and to the intersections. But we'll definitely include some contract times in there to where when they shut it down, they can only have it shut down for that 6 to 8 weeks, whatever we determine is a reasonable amount of time. But most roundabouts we can build in about 6. These are, at least the one on the north end is a little more complex, so I think it'll be closer to 8. Realistically, I think the one on the south end at 207 probably is going to be a 6-week closure.
Okay, so we're looking at a 12-month time frame here, total project.
Correct.
And 74, traffic is not going to be rerouted in east or westbound.
There will be potentially closures at night when they're doing work, where they're shutting down lanes on 74, and there will probably be short periods of time when they're setting girders where they got to shut down traffic on 74, but it'll be for a few hours at night. They'll shut it down 10 o'clock at night, route traffic probably up the ramp and back down. That's when they'll want to happen either before or after the roundabout's built, so they can do that. Well, they set those girders across 74, because that's when, when you're setting a huge girder across 74, you don't really want traffic going anything. But you're talking, a few hours at night, several times through the life of the project, but yes, but it'll only be at night.
And this would be a construction project. I'm just curious, a construction question. The timing of this really somewhat, to me, would be better if it weren't June, July. Is there any way to start and stop this thing when it might not be as impactful during that period?
As far as like the closures on 74, I mean, you're talking about where we're talking about the
I know
roundabouts or the
about night.
Correct.
But
yeah.
It's just a thought.
I don't know when their current schedule is as far as the letting and the end date. I mean, we're looking at 12 months. So obviously, if they begin construction in June, July, they're probably not going to be setting girders for a while because they got to tear down the bridge. But it's probably going to happen before the next summer. So we can look into that. I just don't know. We don't have. I don't know the exact schedule at this point. We're still a few years away.
And when is the target date for this to start?
When that 2019?
2019, did you say?
Yeah. Sorry, I've just moved in this position. I'm trying to get up to date on 60 projects. 2019, yeah.
Okay.
I hate to keep interrupting, but
No, my next slide was
I
questions.
don't have
So.
to worry about coming back to it at the moment.
Mayor,
Yes.
one thing, if you'd go back to that,
He'd like
back
to
to
go
your,
back to the.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Which one?
I would like the council to vote to strongly recommend Concord Avenue to Pedro Street to protect the businesses on Skyway Drive. You've got one here, Jimmy, which is the Derby. Surely you want the traffic to come back by all the businesses on Skyway Drive. Now, the trucks going to IB Shive, I wouldn't have a problem with, but I think cars need to come Pedro strongly. And I make that motion that the council goes on record that that alternate route go Concord to Pedro Street for cars.
I'll second that motion for you.
All right,
I have one question. Didn't you say there was some kind of study you were doing prior to making a decision about it, but you were leaning toward Pedro?
Correct. Yeah, we've asked the firm to analyze the traffic impacts if we make that a detoured intersection. Yes, to see what would may be needed. You know, it may function fine with no improvements. We may determine that we need left turn lanes, a temporary traffic signal, or something like that. But yeah, and unless those improvements come back exorbitant or unfeasible, I think it's a viable option. We just won't know until they get done with that. You know, if they come back and say you need left, right turn lanes, this, and this, and we're looking at millions of dollars of improvements. I don't think that's likely, but if that was to happen, it may not be something we can actually do. Local traffic's likely to do it anyways, but whether we officially sign it or not, a different ballgame.
And we understand that we're not bound, or you're not bound by what we say, but we are strongly recommending that because of the businesses there, and that's the only reason that we want to let you know that that's what we want to do.
No, and that's fine.
So, and we
And
understand,
like I said, we'll
we
look at it,
understand
yeah.
you're going to, you either do it or you're not, but
Yeah.
still, we want to just make our recommendations, and no.
Any other council comments, questions? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? That's, as Ms. Deborah had said, that's just a strong
Was that,
recommendation, sir.
Mayor, I just want to clarify, was that a no from Councilmember Anthony? Or
Yes,
was
it was.
Okay.
Okay,
You know,
thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Just wanted to make sure we had the vote.
6-1. Okay, strongly recommend to use the Pedro Street.
For cars and IB Shive for trucks.
Okay,
If we don't have businesses, we're in trouble.
all right.
I understand that. The only reason I voted no is because you said you wanted to do the study. You were leaning toward Pedro anyway, but the study would determine, the feasibility study.
Correct. We'll just
I
see
think
what's
it's important that we have all the information before we make a decision.
It's not our decision to make, it's their decision. We're just
I
recommending.
know it's their decision, but you still are doing the study regardless of what we say tonight, right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. Because y'all requested us look at Pedro as an option.
Yeah,
we're looking at it as an
I
option.
would be honest with you, if it didn't work out this way, I wouldn't even be in favor of it, because you're hurting businesses, and, I mean, you can make the fanciest road in the world, but if you kill your business, you ain't got anything.
Well, we just want everybody to understand that the Skyway has a lot of businesses. And it is the thoroughfare into ultimately downtown Monroe for a lot of people. And we don't want to hurt those businesses.
Yeah, I understand. And we've done this in many cases where, the detour takes people around. We put up signs that, when they come back in off Ivy Shive, we'll have a sign up that says, road closed ahead, so many miles, this is a detour. But we've put up signs in many cases that say local businesses open and stuff like that to make sure everybody knows that. And whether we, even if we have two different routes, the truck detour route, it's likely something we'll need to want to do anyways.
Well, see, you don't have any, Pedro Street and IB Shive's the only two drives that don't have stop signs from one end to the other. Neither one has to stop. You'll go straight from Concord to Skyway on Pedro and on IB Shive. The others, you'll have stop signs that, to me, a lot of traffic wouldn't flow through, and it's not residential on Pedro or IB Shive.
Yeah.
The other's residential.
Sean, and you could sense we have some, concerns about this, and obviously, we're all for improving this, don't get me wrong. Now, you got a bridge right down the street here over Concord that had to be raised in years past, and because of the same thing. And, bridges all over America are in disrepair, and sadly not being. So we ought to be happy about this, really. I mean, we're getting that. But it is a little angst to us, and so that was the reason that we felt like it important that maybe you come and explain a little further to us.
No problem.
So we could get into this, but you being the traffic engineering person that you are, I'm sure that you and your other staff are going to try to make this as painless as possible for all.
That's the goal.
And
There's going to be some. There's no way around that. I mean, you can't close a bridge and intersections without there being some, but our goal is to minimize it as much as possible.
Hey, what's the traffic variation gonna be on 74 when the bypass opens? I know 60,000 cars a day now at the bridge there at 601. You know what that number's, what you're recommending that number or what you're proposing?
At 601, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know along the length of 74, they're expecting, depending on where you're at, anywhere between a 20 and 50% decrease. I don't remember exactly where those are, but so I can find out exactly there. I don't know the data is that. Yeah, but along the whole length, you're expecting between 20 and a 50% decrease in traffic on 74.
Is that primarily trucks or both?
Primarily trucks. It's going to be both. I suspect personally that a lot of trucks will use it. Yeah, you got to pay a toll, but you're not stopping at all the traffic signals. But yeah, it'll be a lot of passenger cars too. It'll be a quicker way into Charlotte.
Yeah, we're concerned about we're having trouble now with retail. We've had a lot of big box stores closed, so we sure don't want to, if we can, hurt what we got left. So, and that's critical to us.
I mean, if anything, if you get the through traffic off of this section of 74, those that live nearby will enjoy going out on 74 better because it won't be as congested. I know personally, I live in Monroe or outside the city limits, but I try to avoid 74 during the peak hours. It doesn't matter where I want to go. I'll eat at home. I'll do anything not to be out there. But
there's a lot of our residents do that.
Correct, but if we can get the through traffic off of the ones that are going from the beach to Charlotte or back on the bypass, and you can get out on 74, and it's always going to be busy, but significantly less busy. You're not delayed as much at the signals. Hopefully, that'll help getting people back out there.
I just have one more question while you're here, and I appreciate you being here. Can you check on the traffic light that's supposed to be put in at Old Monroe and John Moore? That's a very dangerous intersection, and with school starting back up, I had hoped that would have been done this summer. But
to my knowledge, I don't think that's a funded project.
If you could just check on when
I don't think it's funded yet.
Okay. We had heard that there was a traffic light going there.
No,
but
I know we've.
That is a dangerous intersection.
I'm trying to make sure I got my intersection confused. I know we proposed one. I think it was John Moore. I know we've asked for one. Somebody's asked for one at Williams too. But I know we proposed projects at several locations along there for turn lanes and signals. And I'll double check. But I don't think those are funded. If they were funded, they were funded in the last few months. We're still a couple years away. But I don't think they were selected last time we submitted them for funding. I don't think those were selected.
When is your 6-laning from Walmart to Rocky River going to start?
I just had a meeting on that this morning. If I remember correctly, construction is expected to be actually March, April of 19.
Starting in March.
Mm-hmm.
So both these projects will be conceivably going on at the same time?
That didn't hit me until now, but yeah. But that project, we've just started the design and analysis on that one. We were discussing with the firm this morning. We were going to be approaching y'all soon and staff about setting up meetings and public meetings for that project as well. That one's a little bit further out, but it's coming soon. You'll be hearing more on it from us in the very near future, next few weeks probably.
Kenneth will have any more questions on this project.
What? I have the dates.
For the
Roosevelt Boulevard widening.
Yeah.
It's in the current TIP that has right-of-way utility in 2019.
It's been accelerated.
With construction multi-year 2021, 22, and 23.
It's been accelerated.
So it's been accelerated?
It's been accelerated, yeah. We're starting right away in 2018, construction 2019.
Okay, so.
Yeah, everything's
moving up.
Correct. We've accelerated a lot of our TIP projects.
Okay.
So.
Since you're fielding a lot of questions, I had one now that you've got through this, I'm going to put this on the end. I get a lot of questions about Highway 74 from Sutherland Avenue to Morgan Mill Road. That road is worse than a washboard. road, I mean, between those sections. And it got like that shortly after it was paved, a year and a half ago. I, as a lot of other folks, are wondering why it's not been repaired, if it's the contractor's fault or just what's going on. That road is worse than bad.
Currently, we're in the claims process to determine where the fault is and remediate the situation forward. That's where we're at. The contract's not closed. We're aware of the issue. We're just battling now for the most part to find a fault.
I mean, it's worse than Washboard Road.
Oh, it's awful.
Oh, okay. You know it.
It's bad. It's some rough shape.
Okay, anyway, I've had
You got more details than me. I knew that things were being looked at. I just didn't know where they stood
It's
exactly.
become more of a legal matter.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you. I get a lot of questions on that, now I got a good answer. Okay. Any other questions on this project?
Thank him for coming and.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming. This has been
We really appreciate you coming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that so much. Okay, thank you. Item 19, energy services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a follow-up from your July meeting. As you'll recall, at the July meeting, we asked the city manager to come back with some recommendations on how to deal with the staffing and pay issues in the Energy Services Department. And I'll be going over two recommendations we have for you as part of this presentation. Just as a reminder, we've seen a tremendous loss of line technicians over the last 5 to 6 years. We currently have 12 approved positions for line technicians. Unfortunately, there's 5 vacancies in the department currently, and I'm even more disappointed to tell you that as of tomorrow, there'll be 6 vacancies. Since our last meeting, we've had another resignation. In addition to losing line technicians, we've seen a reduction in our reliability indices because of the loss of experienced linemen. And also in our engineering department, we have a design engineering manager position that's been vacant since May of 2016. In both the line technician cases and this engineering position, we've just not been successful at recruiting replacement employees to come in and replace those positions. And in both cases, we have sought contracts with private firms to ease our issues. At the July meeting, you approved a contract with Pike Electric to provide a 5-man overhead electric crew that Pike is working now to man those, to hire the positions to fill that crew. And we're hoping in the next couple of weeks that they are available and can start working with us. In April of this year, we entered into a contract with Power Services, Inc., a electrical engineering firm out of Raleigh, to provide, on an interim basis, a person to fill the design engineering manager position. And in both cases, with the line crew and the engineering manager interim position, the fees we're paying these contractors or the consulting firm are just considerably higher, more expensive to us than it would be if we had city employees in those positions. Yeah, I want you to know this isn't a problem that's unique to Monroe. Other cities across the state in the electric business are seeing loss of employees to other places. And it's not something we think is going to correct itself in the short term. Duke Energy has started a process to revitalize and rebuild their electric distribution system in North Carolina and South Carolina. They're going to spend $8.5 billion over the next 10 years doing that. And they've made it clear that there's going to be significant line technicians and engineers hired to complete that process. So getting to our recommendations, we have 2 recommendations for you tonight. First one's for some immediate relief. It would involve the journeyman lineman, the electric crew leaders, and this design engineering manager position. What we're asking for this is for you to approve a policy. It's called the Energy Services Market Pay Differential Policy. The basis of this, for these three positions that we're talking about, we would compare the top pay in our current pay plan to the median total cash median pay for the southeastern market for these positions. As an example, the journeyman, the differential pay between the top of our pay and what somebody in the southeastern market generally makes is $7.36 an hour. The way the policy would work is for these three positions, the individuals would receive a paycheck that's, if it's normally a 2-week period for 80 hours, they'd be paid their normal pay. There'd be an additional line item on the paycheck that would be the market differential, be 80 hours for the journeyman line technicians at $7.36 an hour. The policy would stay in effect as long as the manager feels it's necessary to, and would be reviewed periodically to make sure that if the market has gone up, that the differential would go up, or if it's come down, the differential would go down. But again, this is something that would go into effect this coming Saturday at the beginning of a pay period, and again, would be at the manager's discretion. If other positions came along that were impacted, he could take action on those as well. The second recommendation is we're asking that you authorize the city manager to develop an enterprise pay plan. The enterprise funds include the airport, the electric fund, the natural gas fund, stormwater, solid waste, and water and sewer. This again would be, the manager would develop a pay plan for the positions within these funds. It would be separate from the current pay plan. The basis of this would be that positions in these various areas would be compared to a market comparable position. Airport employees would be compared to other airport employees in neighboring cities or private entities. Water and sewer employees would be compared to water and sewer employees, and the pay in this plan would be based on matching what the market pay is for these positions. We'd ask that the manager get this pay plan put together as soon as possible, but no later than May of 2018, so that it can be included in the next year's 18-19 fiscal budget. So again, our recommendations, we have two recommendations. One is approval of energy services market pay differential policy, and then direct the manager, authorize the manager to develop an enterprise pay plan.
Now, these pay plans, have you worked with our HR representatives on these pay plans?
The HR director was involved with myself and the city manager in coming up with these recommendations.
Right, okay, because, you know, when we're doing these pay plans, we're looking at all employees, and I just want to make sure that she's involved in that and has that say, because of all the, you know, we do have people that come in, or vendors come in that, you know, give us how much everybody's making, so we need to make sure that we're all on the same page and not go way out, you know, on something like this. Now, these, on these pay plans, on what you're coming up with, is that going to, how do you feel that if you give more money, is that going to just turn around and the private people pay more money? I mean, then how's that going to work?
I don't think what we're doing is going to affect the market. I think we're always going to be chasing the market. It's just, they're not going to, the contractors large contracting firms and large investor-owned utilities aren't going to look at what Monroe's paying.
And I understand that there's an issue, and like you said, it's statewide, and so we're all in the same boat. So we have other cities that are also in the same boat than we are, and what we have tried to do in the past is try to be, consistent with the other cities and try to be in that level. So I guess that's going to knock the whole market out then, because if we start now going with our start comparing with private businesses, I can just see where that's might cause us to be out of sync. So, but I don't really see any other alternatives. So that's why I want to make sure that we work with our HR director and HR department.
Don, just one other question now. If we got 6 openings, why are we only talking about 3 positions? And if I'm missing something here, or
the 3 positions are the journeyman line technicians, the electric crew leaders, and the design engineering manager. There are 6 vacancies in the journeyman line technician area. So,
And how many current line techs do we have?
we've got 6 right now. There'll be 5 tomorrow.
So 5 right now.
So,
If you were fully staffed, how many would you have?
12.
So we just about half staffed.
well, it sounds to me like that the only alternative here would be that we get out of the electric business and turn it over to Duke, which I don't think is going to happen. So we are between a rock and a hard place. I hate it, but we didn't create it, so I don't necessarily feel responsible for it. I really don't see an alternative to this either. It's not something I like, but on the other hand, I say the only other choice is we just get out of the business. You don't want to compete.
I move we approve the request with a little bit of heartburn.
I'll second it.
I have a motion, second. Any other discussion?
We're talking about the first request, right?
We're talking about both.
Yeah.
Both.
Both.
I thought you asked us either or.
No, it's both recommendations to be approved. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other comment, questions?
No, I think it's about to be emergency.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that fails. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Item 20, Science Center update.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor, Council, here before you just to give you a brief update on the Science Center. We completed initial meetings with the architects, and we have some renderings that we'd like to share with you. We presented these to tourism last week and found some very favorable responses. We held several meetings. A couple council members and mayor, Councilmember Anthony, were involved. A lot of the public, a lot of city staff, and came up with a general overall design of the proposed Science Center. Orientate you a little bit. This is Windsor Street. Along here, you have the library, First Presbyterian Church. So this is an overhead schematic of it. You have the Science Center. We're incorporating some kind of aircraft element into it as our eye-catching feature, since we will be STEM-based as we move forward with that. Bigger picture, the parcel of land. You have the old strip center that had the barber shop, the old thrift store, which will eventually be torn down, giving us a big, large area for parking for future development. We do have that park area here, as well as some greenery area over here. One of the things the architects did share with us is that this green area is very important to the process, attractive-wise and for use, for school groups, for kids. So they were very keen on us preserving that area. The mayor even brought it up that we should probably look into cleaning it up a little bit starting now. So that's something we're gonna look at to see what we could do. But as you can see, It has an outdoor area, a little future expansion area. The entrance would be on the corner. Franklin, you would have very good visibility. It's on a higher level over there. And then you would have your parking and some bus parking as well in that area. And you would still have all this area for parking and for future development in there. Sorry. Just a real brief interior look to it. Again, your entrance would be right here. Your offices, your support stuff would be in the different colors. Your restrooms, your meeting/birthday rooms over here, and your storage areas over here. You'd have a very large exhibit area, so everything in yellow is the actual functioning part of the facility. The larger part would be more permanent exhibits, whereas the side over here would be exhibits that change. So you'd design a flow to get people to the back, so they would keep coming back and see something new. Haven't figured out exactly what we'll do on the outside area between the building and Windsor Street. It's a great piece of property to do something hands-on outside. We've even talked with Jim's folks in stormwater, incorporating and using some of the city's assets to show off what we do and how we do it in that area. Anybody have any questions on this so far? Yes, sir.
Does that show the glassed-in proportion that we?
Yes, Mayor. So the area, if you're familiar with the building, there's a huge overhanging area off to the side, and we're looking at encapsulating that in some way. So it's part of the existing roof structure. So we're kind of toying with, do we do a fully enclosed area? Do we do halfway up? Obviously, if we go fully enclosed, it's going to cost more to heat and to cool and add expenses. We could do it 3/4 of the way up, and it would still be a viable option for groups to have lunch out there and work in that area. That answer your question?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
And out of curiosity, I'm forgetful, I know the building well, and I know that we're not the only one of these in the state or the
Yes, sir.
area, but how would we compare in size with some of the others that may be?
We're on the lower middle end of these facilities, but a lot of these facilities are in bigger communities. Like our nearest one would be, let's say, the Catawba Science Center up by Lenore Ryan College. They're in an old 4-story school, so they have a couple floors. Majority of these are anywhere from 15 to 40,000 square feet, and we're right about 16, 17,000 square feet without that covered area and without the planting. So that really gives us, a bigger footprint than we actually have. But for a community our size, we're probably right on target. We don't want to build something too big. And on the initial piece, they did share with us about potential for expansion. So we could come out this way towards Franklin or this way towards Windsor as well. So we do have that capability to expand.
Right.
Ours is larger than Rockingham.
Yes, ma'am. It is Rockingham. We visited Rockingham, and it's a 2-story old furniture facility. It's kind of weird shaped, but we're about 1,000, 1,500 square feet bigger than the Discovery Place kids in Rockingham. And they spent a lot of money there. So we have the interior, we have the overall, and we kind of charge the architects to give us something new, give us something that's whimsical, something that's going to be different for Monroe, Union County, and I think they came through with it. We'll look at the larger one first. So they came up with a offset girder and multiple elevation color awnings on the side of the building. So basically it's not making alterations to this brick box building, so it's going to keep our construction costs down while giving us a really interesting look that you're not going to see anywhere in Union County. It's going to be something, especially not Monroe, it's going to be very sleek, very modern, with an interaction use of possible LED screens on the facade, as well as banners, and possibly changing colors of LED lights on top of the awning. So if it's police week, we could change the lights to blue. If it's military week, we could change them to green, or whatever it may be. We can have that capability. And it gives you a real eye-catching thing as you're coming down Franklin Street, as you're driving on Windsor, and it's meant to look childish and playful, because we want to invite this. This is geared towards kids from, say, birth to 6th grade. So we want those kids to be like, oh man, that's cool. That's something different. I want to go and see what that is. So we think taking that look, as well as the plane, you're going to have people dying to figure out and go see what this place is. Again, this is a schematic of your entrance. If you look to the right, this is what that enclosed area that we're talking about. This is showing maybe a 10-foot glass enclosure, so you can still see and you can still have an idea about it, but it's not. We're not going to have to pay to heat it and cool it. It's still going to provide shelter and probably not be as cold to the elements. So we're still fine-tuning it a little bit. We're not totally sold on. It's a little hard to read with the letters.
That was one thing.
So the school teachers and the grammar folks in our groups are like, So we're gonna fine tune that to where it is easier to read. This actually curves around a little bit on Windsor Street to read it. So we're gonna work on that to fine tune it to make sure it's easily readable as you're going by. But this is gonna be, I dare to say this will be an iconic look for Monroe. This is gonna draw a lot of attention. In the area, in the region, probably across the state as well. There's about a dozen of these, well, maybe not a dozen, about 10 of these facilities in North Carolina. And, we're looking forward to it, to taking the next steps. Does anybody have any questions on kind of the look, the design, feedback? You like it, it's stupid, don't do that. We're in that process. Once we start moving forward, we're going to have construction documents drawn, get a true cost estimate, and look to see what we can do to make this thing happen as soon as we can.
Question, comments?
I agree. I think it's one of the most exciting things that we've had to come along in a long time, and I think it'll be a great addition to our downtown area, and I hope and pray we can pull it off.
I'm with you, sir, and Brian and I are really, between this project and the theater project, we're touting these both as catalyst sites for our downtown. This is going to do nothing but draw people to our downtown. You have kids and families, they're going to come here, spend 3 hours, they're going to look for some place to eat, shop, tootle around, and especially with the library and the preschool being so close at First Presbyterian there, we hope it serves as a true catalyst for our downtown to help. With that, that's all I have, and our next steps, we're continuing to work with the architects. We're going to get a utility survey done soon and kind of start looking at where all the utilities are and get a true cost for construction and design.
Any questions, comments? Pete, I hope we can go ahead and start on that corner in there some, kind of get it cleaned up.
Yes, sir.
We can get ahead of the game on that. We're going to have to fix it sooner or later. The sooner the better.
Yeah.
For me. And I think the council would agree to that. I'm not speaking for them, but that corner in there needs some work done on it, and that design shows that. So, the sooner we can make that prettier, the better we're going to be.
And one thing, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the homeless shelter, but with the homeless shelter being in close proximity to this, but they're moving, we do have a lot of foot traffic from the homeless shelter that comes across here that goes to the library. So that's going to eliminate that for that area of our downtown. Regardless of whether you like where the location is or not, it's actually going to be a good thing for this location. It's going to create, it's going to take away that pedestrian traffic that's not going to use the science center.
I hope this will be a catalyst for somebody to come down, and want to put another business in that big lot and dress it up down there.
Yeah, Pete, you mentioned also that you're going to incorporate some of the industries to actually sponsor exhibits?
Yes, ma'am. Again, our next steps are, outlining who our corporate and community partners are going to be. So our larger companies, We're also going to be talking with the school system, especially since they're looking at introducing that STEM program at Monroe Middle and Monroe High. We want them on board with this. What that looks like, I doubt it's going to be financially with the school system, but it could be support, it could be buy-in, it could be advisory. We've had initial discussions with South Piedmont Community College with their robotics and their STEM stuff. So they're excited about it. And then the next steps, we hope to present this at our Economic Development Board meeting in September and share it with our business leaders to help hopefully bring the ATI, the Charlotte Pipe, in some way, shape, or form on board with this project. So, and as well as the hospital and Wingate University. And you know, another piece that we have to feel out is how much we want to include and incorporate other municipalities. This is, to me, this is bigger than Monroe. I'd love to get buy-in and support from the 13 other municipalities as well as Union County. You know, I'd love with y'all's blessing, with the manager's blessing, to present this to their councils and not do an ask, but just say, hey, this is what we're doing in Union County for the kids of Union County and your community. If you'd like to be involved, we'd love to have you.
Be good to, we could invite those folks up. At some point, I'm hoping that that we can have kind of open the building up down there and invite folks in that we want to come in.
Yes, sir.
The large companies, and maybe we can get those folks invited in and they'll come too. Because, the more people we have to buy in, the better it's going to be.
Absolutely. And it's a feel-good project that, it's going to benefit our children, going to benefit our city, benefit the future generations. So hopefully we can pull it off.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Pete. Item 21, public comment period. I have Mr. Jimmy signed up. Mr. Jimmy, we recognize you at this time, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Thank you for allowing me to come and tonight. And I've got years ago, we had purchased the old gate station. I don't know if all of you know where that used to be for future building or future, and we've come to that point now to build something there. And
Let me stop you just for a minute. Can you just tell them who you are and that you own the Derby? Because I don't think a lot of people are following you.
Yeah, I don't forgot what I was. I've sat here so long, I forgot what I was going to say. No, my name is Jimmy Chamis. I'm with the Derby Restaurant over on Skyway Drive. For those that don't know me, and like I said, back before the recession, we bought that little piece of property where the gate station was, and incorporated it in with the restaurant, parking and everything, and we'll come to now wanted to build a building there. So come to find out, when we bought it, there is a sewer line that goes in front of the restaurant. It takes on the other building across Avon Street, goes through that piece of property behind the child development, I think is whatever that building is called there on the corner, and goes down to the creek. Well, I had gotten with Russ Colbath, and we have done some engineering studies and everything, and it's like there's nowhere to go with this sewer line except put either a pump station in to pump it uphill or take it across the street to Skyway Drive. Russ informs me that the city is not going to do that. I asked Russ during our meeting, is there an easement? Does the city have an easement? Because when we bought it, no easement showed up. Does the city have an easement that goes through that property? And his answer was, well, I don't know, but it might be one from the 50s. That's an old line too, so it's an old terracotta line. Well, he wasn't very helpful. He did not produce an easement. And I'm asking the city today if something can be done with that line, or that piece of property is actually no good. It's no good without the restaurant property anyway, but it's no good, period. So we won't be able to build on it. We won't be able to develop it. They won't let us build on top of the sewer unless we privatize it. If we privatize it, then the other building that's on it needs to, they're not going to, the city is not going to go for that because there's more than the restaurant on there. So I'm asking the city if y'all can see if there's an easement. If there's not an easement, what can we do with it? I'm just at a kind of a standstill in my plans.
Mayor, I'd like to ask the city manager to work with our legal department and also with Russ and see if we can't answer these questions. First, we need to find out if there's actually an easement, and we can certainly research that. Recommendation that we do that.
Okay, yeah.
Is that good? Do you need a motion or Mujib or?
No, I think we have, I think we have the consensus of council, if that is the consensus of council. And I think what we could, just for clarification purposes, that we can look to see what easement exists. In terms of then detailing options, I think that's something we'd obviously work with Water Resources on.
Yes.
We would not be in a position of advising me on private issues related to his further redevelopment. But we'd look at obviously whether or not an easement exists, and then can work with Water Resources on any issues. Because if there's a question of whether or not the easement exists, we'll take a look at that and work with the manager and the Water Resources Director on it.
Right, and that's all I'm asking, and then, we can go forward from there, or I can go see where my legal rights are and, continue moving on or not moving at all.
But there's other properties that's hooked onto that
It
sewer.
is the one over across the street from Mavon, yes, ma'am.
Jimmy, just as a clarification, the property you bought is behind your current restaurant?
No, it's right beside it on Skyway Drive.
Faces Skyway Drive.
So faces Skyway.
Yes, sir.
We just want to make sure we have the right.
And there
we
is
are
a-
looking that we find the right place.
No, and there is a sewer line that is behind the houses. We even looked at going that way with it, and there's not enough fall. I've already spent like $13,000-14,000 trying to come up with some kind of, and Russ was saying it could cost as much as $150,000, and there's no way that I can spend $150,000 on the city's sewer.
Okay, we'll get that.
Yes, sir.
worked on, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
This is public comment period. Anyone else who would like to address the council? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Mayor, before we just have one thing before we adjourn. I'd like to offer apologies to Pete Hovanek and to Bruce Bounds. When the recruits were here at our last meeting, we were acknowledging people with the city who has served in the military. And I would like to thank Bruce Bounds for his service in the Navy and Pete Hovanek for his service in the Marine Corps. I really appreciate it. And I do apologize for overlooking you at that meeting.
Yeah, and so do I. I'm sure we all, but anyway, we do thank you for your service, and sorry you got overlooked. It was by no intentions at all to do that.
Airport director also served in Air Force. Airport director also served in Air Force.
He was acknowledged. He was acknowledged.
Yeah, I think we.
May I move we adjourn?
I've got one other thing.
Okay.
Mayor, I know that you've been working diligently on some signage for 74 to better promote the downtown businesses. Could you give us an update on that? Because I know that you've been working on that for quite a while now.
You talking about the signs on 74 coming into town? Is that what you're speaking of?
Right, to kind of direct people toward our restaurants in our downtown area.
Well, that's, of course, that's up to the state to do that, but it's up to us to try to get it done. And I have on more than one occasion spoke with the proper authorities, or I think the city has sent some letters on that. Bridget, of course, could pull that back up in the minutes. She may remember, I don't know, but it's in the minutes where I've asked for the state to install some signs on 74 indicating downtown Monroe. They are one small sign over there they're at Skyway Drive, they're about Skyway Drive. But yes, I've asked the state on more than one occasion to do signs, and to this date, as we know, the only thing we got is that one small sign. Is that what you're speaking of?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I've asked the state to do it, and it's up to the state to do it. And it's even up to the state to okay somebody else to do it. It's on a state maintained highway is what I'm saying.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. And I just wanted to just kind of get that out there, that you have been working diligently to try
Oh,
to get
well,
that done.
yes. Council, have anything else?
Move adjourned.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We adjourn.